I will read. In the book of 1 Kings, I will start on chapter number 12. I will read on from verse number 1. Thank you. Thank you. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. And as soon as Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, heard of it, for he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon, then Jeroboam returned from Egypt. And they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Israel came and said to Rehoboam. Yeah, the Bohams and Bohams, just, be careful there. There is Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Your father made our yoke heavy. This is what they are saying to Rehoboam. Now, therefore, lighten the hard service of your father and his heavy yoke on us, and we will serve you. He said to them, go away for 3 days, then come again to me. So the people went away. 6 says, then King Rehoboam took counsel with the old men who had stood before Solomon his father while he was yet alive, saying, how do you advise me to answer these people? And they said to him, if you will be a servant to these people today and serve them. Somebody just shout, serve. Shout harder, serve. If you will be a servant to these people today and serve them and speak good words to them when you answer them, then they will be your servants forever. But he abandoned the counsel that the old men gave him and took counsel with the young men who had grown up with him and stood before him. 9 says, and he said to them, what do you advise that we answer these people who have said to me, lighten the yoke that your father put on us? 10 says, and the young man who had grown up with him said to him, thus shall you speak to this people who said to you, your father made our yoke heavy, but you lighten it for us. Thus shall you say to them, my little finger is thicker than your father's thighs. And now, whereas my father laid on you a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. 12 says, so Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day. As the king had said, come to me again the 3rd day. And the king answered the people harshly, and forsaking the counsel that the old man had given him, he spoke to them according to the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So the king did not listen to the people, and the end of his reign was disastrous, and he made the kingdom divide. The title of my message, and I want you to write it down, is, what will you reply in 3 days? Just say your reply in 3 days. I will start off with the definition of youth here. Youth really in definition, and of course there are other wide range of definitions, but I've just picked 3 for the sake of this presentation. Youth is an early period of development to maturity. An early period of development to maturity. It would also be the time of life between childhood and maturity. The time of life between childhood and maturity. And for those who know, being in between places in every sector, in every way, in every facet is always one of the most crucial, dangerous, and critical places. A place where you are in between transitions. The time of life in between childhood and maturity. 3, you can say freshness and vitality characteristic of a young person. The freshness or vitality of character of a young person. Now, in the scriptures I have just read, the Bible introduces us to a young man called Rehoboam. Rehoboam is a son of Solomon, and the Bible represents an interesting story about him there. Rehoboam seemed to be a young man who was a youth. Tell your neighbor he was a youth. Tell them again he was a youth. The Bible says it came to pass where his father died, and then the baton was passed on to him to be king. And when he became king, it seemed people got excited. The reason why people got excited is because they were getting excited that a young blood is coming in. Another generation is stepping into the platform. This is how you are as youths. When we see you, we get excited because we are thinking new ideas. The people were thinking that this is a better future that is coming. And they were actually thinking that second chance could be coming to us. And the Bible says, but it seemed this was not so. When people see you as youths, they see restoration coming back. They see rearrangement. They see restructuring. They see hope. Tell your neighbor, don't look down upon yourself. When people see you, they see hope. The Bible says, hope deferred maketh the heart sick. In other words, where hope has gone away, hearts can be sick. And this is why there are so many people who are sick in this world. They are not really suffering a disease, but they are suffering what is called loss of hope. And so when hope is lost, you begin to see discouragement and despair and distress. But when someone young comes into the picture, you'll see people getting more excited that we are so hopeful. Maybe there shall be new regimes, new strategies, and new structures. When these people saw Rehoboam, they saw clarity. They were excited. They saw openness of mind. And so the Bible says they approach Rehoboam and they say, listen, Rehoboam, we thank God that you have become our king now. Now, can you please make the yoke which your father laid on us lighter, because your father put put a heavy yoke on us. Can you please, by chance, Rehoboam, reform some strategies into our lifestyles? And then the Bible says, Rehoboam said to them, just give me 3 days and I will come back to you with a reply. Give me 3 days to think about it. Just give me 3 days to seek counsel about it, and I will get back to you. The Bible says, and Rehoboam went out and he sought counsel with the old man. And the old man said to Rehoboam, if you serve these people, they shall serve you too. If you make their yokes lighter, they shall be your servants. They will serve you too. But if you do otherwise, you shall be on your own. And the Bible says Rehoboam said, okay. And he went to the young man, and the Bible defines them, who he grew up with. And sought counsel and said, Jeroboam and all Israel has come to me, and they have asked that I make their yoke lighter than what my father did. And the Bible says, and the young men said to him, listen, Rehoboam, these people have not seen anything yet. Tell them that what your father did, you shall make worse and harder than what your father did. And tell them that your little finger shall be thicker than your father's thighs. And tell them that your father whipped them with whips, but you shall whip them with scorpions. People are looking at me like, is that in the Bible? And the Bible says, and this is what Rehoboam took as counsel, and he forsook the counsel of the old man, and he took the counsel of the young man who grew up with him, and he went before the people. The Bible says after 3 days, the people of Israel came back to him, and they said, so what is the answer? I see people there who were excited to hear some good news from Rehoboam. They were excited, saying, at last a youth has come in, and we are expectant of some wisdom and vibrant things. They were so excited. I can even see the people of Israel on that morning. They would wake up each other and say, let's go, let's go. This is day 3. This is day 3. Let us go and hear what Rehoboam has for us. I can see some women who didn't even bath. That day they bathed, and they said, oh, we want to go and hear the good news. At last our nation shall be in peace. I can see. And on the 3rd day, they got there, and there stood Rehoboam. And when Rehoboam was standing, they were nudging each other, saying, just here, just here. And the old men were sitting there, and they were saying, oh, oh, we already gave him counsel. We already know what he's going to say. We know what he's going to say. And to their surprise, when Rehoboam opened his mouth, the Bible says, he said, listen to me, all ye people. You are complaining about my father, but listen to me now. I am going to make even harder the yoke which he made for you, and my little finger shall be as thick like his thighs. And he whipped you with whips, but I will whip you with scorpions. And the Bible says all Israel departed from that day, and they blew a trumpet and said, all men to their tents. We are not a part of Rehoboam anymore. And the Bible says, and that is when the division of the kingdom of Israel began. I said the title of my message is, what would you reply in 3 days? I am just here to speak to the youths tonight, and we're going to continue tomorrow. When a situation has been presented to you to take charge and to change the nation, what will you do? When a situation is presented to you where you can be good and pay your tithes, what will you do? When a situation is presented to you, it starts small, youth. I'm not even going into politics yet. We shall go there tomorrow. What will you do when you are driving your car and it is said that do not throw away litter, and you drop the window of your car and you throw away litter to mess up the streets? It starts off with the little things. When a situation to lead is presented before you, what will you do? When a situation to lead by example is presented before you, when a situation to be honest and to act with integrity is presented before you, as a youth of this nation, what will you do? When somebody walks in your office and they want a bribe, I'm not even talking about Zuma's $2 million house. I'm talking about you as an accountant at your workplace. When somebody is not seeing you, what are you responding to? When a situation is presented to you to make decisions, when a situation is presented to you to carry the speakers, how do you carry them? Do you carry them like they are not yours? Apostle Neshibebe's got money. If it breaks, he shall replace it. How do you act behind the scenes when a situation to lead is presented before you? Because it is leadership. You are being tested on every angle. What do you do? And so it brings me to what I am going to speak on a little. What Rehoboam did there is he went back to seek counsel. And I just want to speak a bit about the power of having a mentor. The power of having a mentor. One of the common things an adult will have with a youth, one of the common things is they both need mentors. We need mentors in our lives. as youths so that we know the direction to follow. You need mentors in your life, somebody to speak to you, somebody you can listen to, somebody you can obey. Who is speaking in your life? Who is speaking in your life? And so, one of the definitions of a mentor is a wise and trusted guide and advisor. One you have chosen to hear from, follow, and obey. A mentor is someone usually with much greater knowledge, skill, experience, who helps a protege. A protege is someone who has a mentor, who helps a protege, typically someone younger and less experienced, to develop professionally and personally. They play some role Master Atson have played by historically training apprentices. They are torch bearers. Ask your neighbor, do you have a mentor? That's homework number 1. If you don't have a mentor in this place, by the time this conference ends, I want you to have looked for a mentor, identify someone who you shall call a mentor, pray about it, and make sure you have a mentor in your life. Because if Rehoboam had a mentor, I'm sure he would have answered more wisely. The power of a mentor is critical in our lives. I have seen people who are gifted and talented, and they have wasted themselves away just because they did not have someone who they listened to in their life. Now, a mentor-protege relationship, it is both beneficial. It's a two-way thing. A mentor is not somebody who is going to be just telling you what to do. It is a two-way thing where you make him trigger. You are a trigger mechanism. Put things that will inspire him to help you. There are certain people who you can just say, oh my God, I have to help this person because they are showing so much interest in learning. The problem with the youths nowadays, I can see Rehoboam. Can somebody just give me a chair? I can see Rehoboam, and I don't want you to be one of those youths who do not have mentors. I can see Rehoboam. The first place he goes to is to the old counselors. These old counselors, I see them. They are gray-headed men. They tell him what Solomon did good as well, not only the bad Solomon did. They tell him that your father in his days made silver as common as stones. So Rehoboam, just try and bring in strategies which shall make the economy better. They go even to the grandfather David. They tell Rehoboam that we were alive even when your grandfather David was ruling. And they were telling Rehoboam how to serve serve, how to be selfless like David was. They were telling Rehoboam that, listen, my son, if you want to be a leader, you have to serve first, because the Bible says, and they said to Rehoboam, if you serve these people, you shall have them serve you. But the problem with us nowadays, young people, we think that we have to become leaders first before we serve anybody. And they were telling